Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this hybrid meeting of the Policy and Resources Committee. I would remind all attendees that this meeting is being recorded and webcast live on the Council's YouTube channel. I have agreed the attendance of some members remotely and would remind all remote attendees to mute their microphones when not speaking. The agenda today is a long one, mainly due to the meeting following the summer break. I would ask, therefore, that officers keep their presentation tight and members keep their questions succinct and to the point. I'd be grateful if you would please leave comments out of your questions. If anyone requires a comfort break, please just indicate this and we'll have a short recess to accommodate. Before I go on, just to mention that Councillor Speed is not at the meeting today. She's in Italy with her son, who's representing Scotland at the European Power Wheelchair Championships. I'm sure we'd all wish him the best of luck. Also, for noting, item 13 has been withdrawn. With that, we'll move to item 1, apologies and substitutes. Elaine.
Thanks, Convener. We have apologies for Councillor Beattie, Councillor Cheap and Councillor Speed, with Councillors Whiteside, Councillor Braes and Councillor Scott substituting.
Thank you. Item 2, declarations of interest and statements of transparency. Do we have any? Councillor Duff.
Yeah, thanks, Convener. Item 12, report 26225. I am a council appointed director of NGLL, so I will leave the chamber for that item.
Thank you. No one else? We'll move on then to item 3, the minutes. Minutes of the previous meeting. Are they agreed as a true record? Yes?
Agreed.
Policy and Resources Grant Subcommittee. Do we agree these as a true record?
Agreed.
And item C, Central Consultative Committee. Agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. Item 4, possible exclusion of public and press. The committee will be asked to consider in terms of Standing Order 27(2) whether the public and press should be excluded during consideration of items 21 to 32, so as to avoid the disclosure of information which is exempt in terms of Part 1 of Schedule 7A to the Local Government Scotland Act 1973. Do we need to agree that?
Yeah.
Do we agree? Thank you. Item 5, capital monitoring. This is report 255 of 25 from the Director of Finance, Mr. Lorimer.
Thank you, Convener. Good afternoon, members of the committee. This is the first capital monitoring report for the 25-26 financial year. It's based on actual spend to the 31st of July and a projection for the remainder of the year. I do have to point out there's a typographical error in Table 1 in the report. The total in the latest estimate column should be 46.961 million, not 49.691 million. No major issues or concerns being flagged in the report. Projects are progressing as planned at this stage. And the only other thing to say by way of introduction, Convener, is the report asks the committee to approve the use of the capital contingency provision to meet the cost of land compensation claims associated with the duelling of the A92. Now, it's taken quite a number of years for those claims to come forward and reach a conclusion. That has now been done, and therefore we need a funding source in relation to that. Happy to take any questions.
Sorry, my mic's not on. I'll go back. Are there any questions on this report? No. I'll open it up then to comments. Any comments? No comments. With that, then we'll move to the recommendations. There are 2. You members will have read the recommendations. Recommendation 1 is to review and scrutinise. And recommendation 2 is to approve. Do we agree these recommendations? Thank you. Moving on to item 6, revenue monitoring 2005-6 and renewal and repair fund position 25-26, report number 25625, and again it's Mr Lorimer.
And thanks again, Convener. Yep, this is the revenue equivalent of the report we've just considered, so also based on actuals to the end of July and a projection for the remainder of the year. It is early in the year, but the report outlines, I guess, a slightly concerning, excuse me, slightly concerning position with an adjusted overspend of just under 2.6 million being projected. Now that is subject to change because it is early in the year. That arises because of projected issues in a small number of hotspot areas, and officers are doing more detailed assessment of the position in relation to those areas. Excuse me just a second. So we're looking at those areas in a bit more detail, and we'll bring further update to the committee in the next cycle. I think it is important to point out that projected overspend that we have in this report at this stage assumes that all of the corporate contingency budget for risks of 2 million is used in full. That's a worst case scenario because there are no actual calls against that contingency budget thus far, and again it's still early in the financial year. So worth pointing that out. The only other thing, again, by way of introduction, asking the committee to delegate authority to myself to conclude and sign off the Council's insurance claim in relation to Storm Babette. The work to assess and verify the claim is now complete and awaiting formal sign-off. And happy to take any questions, Convener. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Lorimer. I'll open it up to members. Are there any questions? Councillor Whiteside.
Thanks, Convener. This question for Ian. There's obviously some overspend that's very difficult to do anything about, such as residential placements, etc. I was a little bit more concerned about the overspend in the human resources OD digital enablement section. If you got any further explanation about that one.
Yep, thanks, Convener. Thanks, Councillor Whiteside. Yeah, so that's something we're looking at. It is mainly in relation to recharges and a shortfall in income. Part of that is in relation to the Council's former digital reprographics unit, so that's part of it, but there's also recharges to other areas of service through the business support function which sits in that directorate. Don't have all the answers to that, that's why we're doing the further detailed assessment to figure out, is that a one-off issue, or is it perhaps more of a structural issue that would need to be addressed on a permanent basis? So we'll bring more detail on that to the next meeting.
Any other questions? No? Okay, we will move to comments. Are there any comments? No comments. I'll move to the recommendations. There are 4 recommendations. Members will have read the recommendations. They are to note, review, note, and delegate authority. Do we agree? Thank you. Moving on to item 7, financial outturn and draft accounts update, submitted report 257 of 25, and again it's Mr Lorimer, I think.
Yes. Thank you, Convener. This report provides additional detail on the Council's financial performance for last financial year, including commentaries on significant variances and summaries of our overall financial position. The report is intended to be less technical, hopefully it is less technical than the Council's full accounts. Those accounts for 24-25 were approved for signature at the special meeting of Scrutiny and Audit Committee earlier today. But I appreciate this report does still contain a lot of information. So again, happy to try and answer any questions on the report, Convener.
Thank you, Mr Lorimer. I'll open up to members. I can see Councillor Bell, and
Thank
then
you, Convener.
On you go.
Thanks. Ian, on page 78 under the pupil equity fund table, there's quite a lot of disparity between some schools that have an overspend and some that have a significant underspend. And I appreciate there might be some issues around timing in financial year end, but that is quite concerning. And I wondered if you could give me some narrative around that, please, because obviously that money is awarded on the basis of need of the school population. And it worries me that money is sitting unspent when children could be getting the benefit of it. Thanks.
To get through you, Convener. Yeah, so this was the position on those various funds at the 31st of March 2025. It is a mixture, as you mentioned, of devolved school management funds and pupil equity funds. In relation to the pupil equity fund, that generally is allocated across the academic year rather than the financial year, so you can have those issues of disparity. In the DSM, there is provision to carry forward or over spend on DSM allocations from year to year, and the idea of that is to provide flexibility. My colleague, Mr. Loudon, is on the call, I believe, and if he may wish to add anything to what I've said, but that would be my kind of main comments on that question.
Neil?
Yeah, thank you, Convener. I'll just come in and just add briefly. Thank you, Councillor Bell. I would add that the high overspends and underspends are all staff related. So it is ongoing staff costs or overspends in staffing. We were aware of the Burnside one, which is the highest overspend, and it was directly linked to staffing and some changes in the senior leadership team there. And all of the underspends and overspends are in line with teacher costs, if I'm being completely honest. But we have been working really hard to ensure that our financial governance of PEF is sound. And I'm sure members will note that 2 years ago we were carrying forward 665,000. Last year it was 347, and this year it's down to its lowest level at 260. So we are getting better, and it's very important, Councillor Bell, I agree with you that the money is spent for the children in that school year across the accountancy year, but that is a reason for the overspends and underspends in terms of accountancy year versus school year.
Thank you for that, Mr. Loudon. Councillor Shepherd.
Thanks, Convener. It was very similar to Councillor Bell's question, and Neil Loudon there just highlighted Burnside, which is the one I was going to be mentioning in my question. There was an overspend of pupil equity funding of just under 50,000. So I suppose I might change my question and just say, is there a cap of what the overspend can be? Because that's already been explained about the overspend at Burnside. So thank you.
Neil, do you want to come on that one?
Happy to come back in, Convener. Thank you. Yeah, again, there is no cap, but we would monitor this regularly with monthly financial outturns, Councillor Shepherd. So it's just important that we keep a close eye on that. And I specifically mentioned Burnside because that was one I was aware of. The pupil equity funding has been confirmed for financial year 26-27. So we do try to allow some empowerment and autonomy to school communities to manage that fund across the school year and financial year to what best suits the children and young people in the school and community.
Thank you for that. Are there any other questions? Any comments? No, with that then we'll move to the recommendations. There are 5. They are to note, 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 note and note. Do we note the recommendation? Thank you. That takes us on to item 8, Angus Public Infrastructure Fund, APIF, Proposed Project Programme. This is the Submit Report 258 of 25, and again it's Mr. Lorimer and Mr. Daly. Who would like to start?
Be myself, Convener. Thank you. This report advises members of work undertaken to develop a programme of projects for investment in council-owned public infrastructure across Angus and seeks approval of that project programme to be funded from the Angus Public Infrastructure Fund. The proposed project programme follows a comprehensive assessment of potential areas requiring investment across Angus and prioritisation by officers. These projects span a wide range of public infrastructure, including roads and transport services, schools, flood protection and sports and cultural facilities. The focus is on renewing our ageing infrastructure, addressing climate change impacts, supporting cost reduction and helping the Council achieve its net zero carbon ambitions. Finally, members are asked to note that the proposed project programme in Appendix 1 and the potential to add to the fund will be reviewed and updated, if required, as part of the annual budget setting process over the forthcoming years to ensure it can respond to new issues and opportunities. Thank you, Convener.
Convener, can I give a note of an amendment?
Yes. Do you want to?
Do you want me to read it out?
Yes, please.
Okay, just a minute. Okay, it's rather a working
Could you circulate it, or if you send it over, we'll circulate it.
Do you want me to read it out? While you're circulating it, or
send it round.
right? Okay.
If you send it to the officers, they'll get it sent round.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what we'll do is we'll have a 5-minute recess. If that can be sent to officers.
We've got that.
Oh, you've got it.
Yeah.
That's great. Then we'll have a 5-minute be enough?
Yeah,
5-minute recess. Just so we can seek some advice. Okay, thank
Can
you.
you pause the lecture?
Welcome back, everyone. I can see Councillor Wan's hand up. Do you want to say something, Councillor Wan?
Yes, Chair. I don't know if this is where I would propose that we just carry on with the papers as in front of us, or do you let Councillor Duff speak about his amendment?
Yeah, not quite yet, no. I'll be asking a question of Councillor Duff. Okay, thanks everyone for bearing with us during that short recess. I understand that the amendment was actually late in coming forward, so I need to make a determination on its urgency. So I would ask Councillor Duff to maybe speak to why this amendment is urgent.
Well, it's not. If you feel that this would be better handled at a different place, then you could defer this paper to full council, if that's the issue. You're arguing about half an hour. It's a bit of a technicality, I think.
Yes, the advice to me is that I have to determine whether the actual amendment is urgent given the lateness of it, whether it's half an hour or not. And I'm giving you the opportunity then to speak to why.
I think the important thing about the amendment is when we set the infrastructure fund up, there were two major priorities that would consume a significant proportion of that money. That was whatever recovery work we need to do in Brechin and the pressing issue of coastal erosion in Montrose. Now, both of these projects require, or we would expect, some government support, but we don't know whether we're going to get any government support because we haven't asked for it yet on either project. And we haven't defined the Brechin project, and the Montrose project we have a rough plan but maybe not a timescale. The risk if we go ahead with this plan is we commit a significant proportion of the 21 million without knowing whether we're going to get government support for the other two. Now, the Brechin situation clearly is 2 years since Storm Abel. We haven't yet done anything, and I think that's a bit of a concern, and we are developing a plan. I think that would be the fairest thing to say. With the Montrose one, we have got a time pressure because we were told in 2021 that we needed to take action within 5 years. That's not me saying that, that's the experts from Dynamic Coast 2. When they made the presentation in October 21 to us, they said we needed to take action within 5 years. So there is a time pressure there. If we commit money and then find we don't have we can't get money from Scottish Government, we've got potentially a double-digit £1 million project that we don't have funding for. I think that, for me, is the concern about the approach. If you say, is it urgent? Well, if we commit money and then we then find we can't get the money from Scottish Government, or it's going to take Scottish Government 3 years to release that money, I think we've got a problem. That's why I think it's important to raise the issue.
Thank you for that, Councillor Duff. What I have to do is actually, and my advice is to rule on the urgency of the amendment. I have listened to what you've said. However, my decision is that it wouldn't meet the test on urgency, therefore it won't be heard.
I ask for a second motion just to defer the paper to full council then.
Yes, you can, Councillor Duff. Yes. Right. Councillor Brace first.
Well, I would like to second that motion to defer to full council.
Councillor Wan.
Yeah, I'm just going to come back in, Chair, if that's okay, if this is the appropriate time, and I would just like to propose that we proceed with infrastructure investment plans as outlined in today's papers, and I have Councillor Scott that will second that.
Councillor Scott? Yeah. Okay, thank you. I think now we will need to go to the vote.
Thank you, Convener. We've heard from Councillor Wan that he would like to proceed with the report. Do we have anyone moving the recommendations to be approved? And that would be the vote. We would either be approving the recommendations or putting the report to Council.
Councillor Wan.
Yeah, I propose that we move the motion that is in front of us in the proposed outline of the infrastructure investment plans.
And seconder? Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor.
Okay, we'll now go to the vote.
We just clarify what the motion is.
So the motion is to approve the recommendations in the report.
So the vote is the motion to approve the recommendations as detailed in the report by Councillor Wan and seconded by Councillor Scott. And the amendment is to defer consideration of the report to full council, proposed by Councillor Duff and seconded by Councillor Braze. Convener.
Motion.
Councillor Wan.
Motion.
Councillor Whiteside.
Amendment.
Councillor Bell.
Amendment.
Councillor Braze.
Amendment.
Councillor Cowdy.
Motion.
Councillor Cruikshanks.
Motion.
Councillor Doran.
Motion.
Councillor Duff.
Amendment.
Councillor MacDonald.
Amendment.
Councillor McLaren.
Motion.
Councillor Gavin Nicol.
Motion.
Councillor Louise Nicol.
Motion.
Councillor Shepherd.
Amendment.
And Councillor Scott.
Motion.
We have 9 votes for the motion and 6 for the amendment, so the motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, we've agreed the recommendations. So we'll move now to item 9, which is the final capital budget general fund, report number 259 of 25. And is it Ian again?
It is indeed. Thank you, Convener. So the Council agreed a capital budget for financial year 25-26 back in February. That was a provisional budget at that time, but in line with normal practice, this budget has been reviewed in light of the actual progress with capital projects at the end of financial year 24-25. The report asks the committee to approve the updated capital budget for 25-26, which has been subject to discussion, review and scrutiny through the capital projects monitoring group. Thanks. Again, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I'll now open up to any questions. Do members have any questions? No questions. Any comments? No comments. We'll move to the recommendations, which are to note and to note. Do we agree to note? Takes us on to item 10, preparation of the 2006-2007 General Fund Revenue and Capital Budget, report number 261 of 25. And I think again we have Mr. Lorimer.
Thank you again, Convener. It's September, so that means we need to begin the process of preparing the revenue and capital budgets for next financial year. The report sets out the broad strategy, approach and timeline for the committee's agreement, with the expectation that the budgets, the council tax and the housing rents will be set in February 2026. The approach, the timeline proposed, etc. in the report are very much in line with previous years. Again, happy to take any questions, Convener.
Thank you. Do members have any questions? Yes. Question. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
Sorry. I just had one question about the date for the meeting in November, because it's in the papers. It's the 24th and 27th, and I think that might have changed slightly.
Thanks. Through you, Convener. Thanks, Councillor Doran. You're indeed right. When this paper was published, we had a plan for those meetings to happen on a particular dates, and that has had to be amended. So the dates that are in members of PBSG's diary are the dates to go with.
Any other questions? Comments? No comments. We'll move then to the recommendations. There are 4, and they are to approve, note and note. Do we agree? Moving to item 11, change programme update, submit report number 244 of 25. And again, I think we have Mr. Lorimer.
Thank you again, Convener. So this report provides the committee with the first update on the progress of the Council's change programme for this financial year. And as noted on the agenda, the report was also considered by the Scrutiny and Audit Committee last week. Now, there's a lot in the report, quite a lot of detail. Just a couple of things to highlight as I did at Scrutiny and Audit. Looking back to last year, we achieved 5.2 million of savings, so a significant sum. That was 82% of the original target that we set and 96% of the adjusted target that we had set for savings last year. In relation to the current year, the position is a bit more mixed. We've got 1.2 million, just under 50% of the savings target for the current year is regarded as complete and achieved. And our expectation is that a further circa 600,000, roughly another 23%, will be achieved by the end of the year, albeit, as is highlighted in the report, there are some areas of that which are flagged as amber in terms of risk to delivery. A review of the change programme has, however, identified about just under £700,000 worth of savings that we had planned in the change programme that we think will not now be delivered in financial year 25-26. That would obviously leave a sizable gap in our budget and our finances. So a number of alternative savings proposals have been identified within the report to address that gap. And this committee is being asked to approve those alternatives for implementation. So they would, if agreed, they would replace the ones that are not expected to deliver this year. The report also gives a brief update on the work we're doing in terms of the next iteration of our change programme, and in particular developing 3 larger scale sort of medium to longer term programmes of work around emerging technology, the Council's property estate and developing our economy. We're also looking at further savings options across all services to give members choices when it comes to budget setting time into the next calendar year. And more details on that will come as part of the budget setting process. There's quite a bit of detail in Appendix 2 to this report as well on the extensive engagement that we are having as a council with the Improvement Service and all of the work that's underway nationally on the transformation work streams. So hopefully that brief intro, Convener, is sufficient, but happy to answer any questions if members have them. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Lorimer. I'll ask members, do you have any questions? Councillor Whiteside.
Thanks, Convener. One area where we previously identified prospects of making savings and efficiencies was organisational design with external partners, but that seems to have stalled quite a bit. Is there any plans underway for future years or any prospects of savings there?
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Whiteside. That is a challenging area, I would say. We do have a really good record of working with partners across a whole range of issues. So you're right, that area isn't going to deliver the savings in the current year that we had expected it to. As part of that next iteration of the change programme, we will be looking again at what can be delivered in that space. I think the key issue there is it can take quite some considerable time and work to deliver on something in that sort of area. And whilst we might be willing as a council to do certain things, we need other people and other partners to be similarly minded, and that can be challenging. Definitely going to stay on our agenda, and we will consider that as part of the next iteration of the change programme.
Councillor Scott, then Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Convener. Given the previous change projects have not provided the savings needed, such as purchase to pay, how will we ensure that savings will be achieved in the future, and how will the savings be estimated, calculated to ensure that we are being realistic in the future? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Scott. I would say our track record of delivery on our change programme is really very good. Over a long number of years, we've managed to consistently deliver. Setting estimated savings when we embark on a change programme is challenging. So things can happen, things can change as we go along that journey. Sometimes we don't deliver the savings that we had anticipated. Purchase to pay, you mentioned as an example of that. There were some savings on the staffing side, but not so much in terms of the processing side. But I would say that we have more wins than losses in relation to our change programme if we look historically at the level of savings that have been successfully delivered through the programme. So there will always be things that don't quite go to plan, and we've seen that in this report in terms of the current year. But actually our track record's good.
Thank you. Councillor Duff.
Thanks, Convener. I just wanted to focus on the 26, 27, 27, 28 financial years. So two concerns. Obviously, the review of the 2 to 18 staffing structures is challenging given the commitments to reduce teachers' contact time, and I think that's an issue that is certainly on the agenda for the teaching unions. So there's that, and that amounts to 1.3 million over the 2 years. The other one, which I've just kind of cast my eye on it for 26, 27, is the 375,000 Agile Phase 3. From memory, that's assuming that we sell Angus House. Is that correct? Which isn't looking like it's likely to happen terribly soon. So is that a correct assumption?
And through you, Convener. Thank you, Councillor Duff. Yeah, those areas that you mentioned, Councillor Duff, are areas of risk for sure in terms of how that will play out. We'll consider that as part of the budget setting for those years. I don't know if Mr. Daly wants to talk specifically about the Agile programme. He leads that, but you're right to point out those as areas of risk. But we will get an opportunity to consider those risks as part of setting next year's budget.
Through you, Convener. I think, Councillor Duff, you are correct referring to the marking exercise of Angus House. However, there are different options for delivering the saving in terms of further consolidation of our estate and also part lease of the accommodation at Angus House. So I wouldn't say it's solely determined by the successful sale of the building. There are a number of options that's involved with that project. And yeah, the target saving is the 375 that's in there, and hopefully we'll bring a report back in due course that maybe will better explain the situation in the current status.
Thank you. Councillor Shepherd.
Thanks, Convener. Just on page 129, I just want to read a sentence from there. It is likely that savings options of at least 2.5% for 2026-27 and 2% for 2027-28 will require to be identified by all dictates. I was just wondering if you thought that was realistic, given that some are under perhaps more pressure than others. Thank you.
Again, through you, Convener. Thanks, Councillor Shepherd. Yeah, so within those targets, we do have to ask all areas of council to look at what the options may be in order to present those options to members and allow some element of choice. So in our estimates and our calculations, certainly my hope is that we wouldn't need to go up to those percentages across all areas of service, but knowing that there's likely to be some options within there that are more palatable than others, those targets have been set to provide a bit of flexibility for elected members when it comes to making the choices. I'll be delighted, as I'm sure elected members will be, if once the grant settlement, etc., is concluded for next year, if we don't need to go up to that kind of level, that would be good news. But at this point, we've got a plan, if not quite on a worst case scenario, certainly on something that gives a little bit of flexibility in relation to the options that would need to be looked at.
Are there any other questions? No, we'll move then to comments. Any comments? No comments. We'll move to the recommendations. The recommendations, there are two, and they are to note and approve. Do we agree? Yes. Move to item 12, Forfar Montrose. Sorry, Councillor Duff. Okay, Councillor Duff has now left us, so we're on to item 12, Forfar Montrose Common Good Fund Projects Approval, Submit Report 262 of 25, and talking to this we have Mr Daly.
Thank you. This report seeks committee approval for a proposal to introduce lighting within Mairie Park, Forfar, to be funded through the Forfar Common Good Fund. It also recommends approval of a new funding application to the Montrose Common Good and provides an update in relation to a funding application submitted to the Forfar Common Good Fund. It also recommends allocation of Montrose Common Good funding towards the repair of Eastlinks Car Park, Montrose.
Thank you, Mr Daly. I'll now open up to questions. Councillor Doran.
Hi, thanks. I just wanted to come in to suggest straight off that to propose that, as per recommendation 3, that we note the differing views between the Forfar elected members and the officer recommendation. It's usually common practice when it comes to common good applications that the committee doesn't go against other members on this matters. So I want to propose that we refuse the application for the reason that all the four elected members were unanimous in their decision to refuse it. So that's for making a decision on point 3.
Thank you for that. Are there any questions on any other issues? Councillor White.
It's not a question, it's really just agreeing. It was a bit puzzling to see all 4 local members not being in favour of something that was then recommended by officers, so I would agree with that point.
Councillor MacDonald, did you want to come in?
No, I was just going to say if that needs seconded, I'd second it, but Beth's kind of done that.
Councillor Nicholl.
I was just also put my hand up just to say that I would second that motion, given that
Okay.
There was no support from local members.
Yeah, we're getting a wee bit kerfuffled at the moment, but never mind, we will get there. I've got a few hands up online. I've got Councillor Braes.
Yes, thanks, Convener. I think I would agree with other members. I was elected to serve Montrose District. I should have no place whatsoever in making decisions about the Forfar Common Good Fund. Now, I realise that Angus Council has one budget, and that's why all 28 elected members are trustees of every Common Good Fund. I accept all that. But on this occasion, I couldn't possibly go against the wishes of the democratically elected members from Forfar.
Councillor Braes, Councillor Bell, did I see your hand up, or was...
It was up, Convener, but it was just in support of the points previously made.
Thank you very much. I don't know whether Mr Daly wants to say anything on the comments we've heard.
I would just comment that it is a rather unusual circumstance, and maybe just explain it a little bit further, is that the assessment panel do assess it against the criteria, and it was satisfied that the set criteria was met, and I think the officers are duty bound to follow that. However, we did consult with the local members who brought forward a number of points, and those are noted in the report. And I wasn't necessarily the officers didn't think they were valid. It was just that we were considering against the criteria for the application, and we took due consideration of and this is in line with the administrative procedures for common good, we took due consideration of the views of the local members, and hence the reason that the recommendation was presented in such a way that it was for the determination of this committee in terms of the route to take. So hopefully that is it seems to be agreed as the best approach, and obviously members have brought forward in terms of the preferred route in terms of backing the local members.
Thank you for that explanation. I mean, if members do have issues that need further discussion, it could always be done out with the meeting. But we have the business in hand for today. Does anyone else have any questions on this? Yep. A comment, Councillor MacDonald.
It's just really straightforward. I think this might be the first paper that the format of the paper's changed. I think it was quite useful to read in the Appendix 1 on page 142, just to give an example. Underneath the recommendation, it used to always highlight elected members were consulted, and 3 of the 4 said this or whatever. That's kind of been changed to be in the text now. I think it's a lot clearer when that's also part of the appendix. And I think if we could get that back in, I'd certainly appreciate it.
Thank you for that comment. Mr Daly, would that be possible?
Noted, and we'll make sure that's in place for future reports.
Thank you very much. Any other comments before we move to recommendations? Don't see any. We'll take them one at a time, I think, because of the... Oh, sorry, Councillor Braes. Sorry I missed you.
Yes, thanks, Convener. I wanted to offer a very brief comment on the East Links car park, which is number 4 in the recommendations, and thank officers for the huge amount of work that they've done in progressing this. All of the Montrose councillors support this one, and so yes, thanks to officers for the huge amount of work done.
Thank you. Move to the recommendations. Recommendation 1 is to approve the budget allocation from the Forfar Common Good Fund for the introduction of lighting columns in the Mire Park Forfar. Are we agreed? 2 is to approve the application for the Montrose Community Trust to the Montrose Common Good Fund as detailed in Appendix 1. Do we agree? Number 3 basically is make a determination on whether to approve or decline the application that we have discussed. I take it from what I've heard that is one to decline. Are we agreed? Agreed. And number 4 is to approve the budget allocation from the Montrose Common Good for the repair of the East Links car park. Are we agreed? Thank you very much. Next would be item 13, which has been withdrawn, so we'll move on from that. And Councillor Duff is just coming back into the room. So we move to item 14, Best Value Thematic Work in Councils 24-25, submit report number 24325 by the Chief Executive. And I believe, is it the Chief Executive is talking to this one? It's Gordon. Gordon Kirgill. Gordon.
Thank you, Convener. Good afternoon, members. Yes, this report presents Audit Scotland's report on transformation, how councils are redesigning services to deliver services more efficiently. This is part of Audit Scotland's best value thematic work that they're doing in councils across Scotland for 24-25 as part of the programme of audits. These BV thematic audits are now taking place annually by Audit Scotland and they feed into a National Controller of Audit report which will be issued in 2026, which will pick up key themes that are emerging across all of the 32 councils. Previous audits, members may be aware of, there was the leadership of the development of the new local strategic priorities 2 years ago, and last year there was a look at workforce innovation, which included a look at how we were also progressing with digital technologies. I'll not go into too much detail on the report itself. Paragraph 5.1 sets out the scope for the audit, what Audit Scotland looked at, and 5.3 sets out the key messages from the findings from the fieldwork that was undertaken. I think overall this report demonstrates that the Council is well aligned with best value principles and progressing transformation in a very positive and proactive manner within the organisation. There's only 2 recommendations within the report itself. One is that the Council should ensure its plans for change are sufficiently ambitious to respond to its financial challenges. And you've heard earlier this afternoon in the change programme update from Mr Lorimer about some of the planning that's going forward on that at the moment. So that one is very much in hand. And the other action is around the Council should ensure that it develops its benefits realisation processes to allow it to effectively identify and report to elected members on both the financial and non-financial benefits of its change programme. So both of these actions are areas of work we're actively progressing. Just to say a little bit more on the benefits side, I think that we're fairly strong, I think, in the way we report the financial benefits. I think where the report's probably coming from is more around the non-financial benefits that we tend possibly not to report as well on. So it's an area that we're looking at to develop further guidance for officers linked to project development at the outset of projects, so that we'll have baseline information that we can measure the quality benefits as well as the financial ones. We also plan to improve our reporting on that to elected members. That would be particularly through the annual performance report in the main, but there may be other areas that we'll update on regularly on that as well. And also our performance management framework now being implemented will provide greater scrutiny, not just on savings, but on the non-financial side of things too. So hopefully that gives you a bit of assurance around how we're addressing that. I think overall, in summary, I would consider this from Audit Scotland to be a good report that we've received this time, and happy to take any questions that members may have.
Thank you very much, Mr Kirgill. Are there any questions? I have Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Convener, and thank you, Gordon, for that. I wanted to pick out particularly Exhibit 2 on page 167 around the Angus Prevention Proactive Care Programme, which is highlighted as an area that multi-agency working is really positive and is also attracting attention on a national basis. The Chief Medical Officer was very impressed with what we've been doing in Angus, and I raised this morning with Audit Scotland, examples of transformation. And your point around the non-financial benefits is an excellent one. And I just wanted to make sure, if we can do this, please, Gordon, the impact on people's quality of life in relation to the services that are being delivered, but also in terms of the quality of the partnerships and what it feels like for our staff and our colleagues in partner agencies in terms of improving their career experience, if you like. I think that's quite a significant one when we're looking at staff health and well-being and sickness absence. Thank you.
Gordon, do you need to come back?
Yeah, I'm happy to come back with just thoughts on that one, Councillor Bell. I think thanks for picking that one up. This was a case study, obviously, that we presented to Audit Scotland through the audit that we felt, I suppose, very proud of in some ways, the work that we were doing in this area, because it was really bringing, as you say, it was bringing together that partnership approach between the Council, Angus Alive and the Health and Social Care Partnership to address, that health and well-being within the community and bringing in that preventative approach upstream, so to speak. So a really great initiative within Angus that we're proud to support, and I haven't been involved closely with the project myself for a period of time now, but from all accounts it's going extremely well, has attracted additional funding from the Health Board to support it going forward. And yeah, I know that they did work on the benefits realisation side of it from the outset, so that there was baseline information available. So that will be one that be good to keep an eye on in terms of the information that comes back to members to see what the benefits are coming out of that.
Thank you very much for that. Councillor Scott.
Thank you, Convener. 5.3.7 around the change programme and how it's been expanded. The new approach to benefits management, can elected members be provided with some insight or indication as to how this will be calculated or approached, and how will elected members be kept up to date on this? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Scott. I think in terms of the approach to benefits realisation, as I said earlier, I think that is an area where we're looking to develop new guidance so that we can be much more on top of those non-financial benefits and basically have good baseline data so we can compare how we've progressed over a period of time with that. I think at times it's a notoriously difficult area across Scotland. I think this is one of the themes that will come out as part of the overall report, where councils need to up their game. But I think it's something we're really conscious of. As I say, we're trying to support officers when they're taking projects forward with doing the right things at the start so that we get the right information, then we can report the right information. And I do also think that at times, because we don't have that information, we're starting to sell ourselves a little bit short in terms of the reporting that we do. So hopefully we can make a bit of improvement on that as well, and that the public can see more readily exactly the kind of benefits that we are making to communities across Angus.
Thank you very much for that. I'll move to comments. Are there any comments? No? Okay, I'll move to the recommendations. There are two, and they are to note and to note. Do we agree? I've had a request for a comfort break, so I intend to grant that. So if we were to say 10 minutes, would that be okay? Okay, thank you very much. We'll have a break for 10 minutes.
Pause the live stream, please.
Okay, members and those online. We are moving now to item 15, People in Place Programme 2025-26, Development of Demand Responsive Transport Service in Angus. Report number 264 of 25, and we have Graham Daly speaking to this report. Graham.
Thank you. This report seeks approval to accept funding from TATRAN under their People in Place Programme Place Fund for 2025-26. It is proposed that the committee agrees to accept the grant offer of £70,000 from the Place Fund, and that is utilised as outlined in set of the report, with an emphasis being on supporting the development of our demand responsive travel in Angus.
Thank you very much for that, Mr Daly. I'll open up to questions and I'll have Councillor Doran.
Yeah, thank you. Really pleased to see this. I used to sit on the TATRAN board as well, so yeah, it's really exciting. But I just wanted to ask a question regarding services for Sidlaw. Is this going to be used to support existing provision or additional services?
Both is the short answer. It will support existing services in terms of staff training. It also involves procuring an additional minibus, which provides more resilience for the existing Sidlaw DRT, but also helps in terms of providing us the capacity to expand into other areas of Angus. Until we're focused on more rural areas where we feel there's an opportunity to do that. It's also been used to develop the capability for passenger fares. So at the moment, we don't actually charge passengers for going onto the DRT in Sidlaw. The emphasis has been on just establishing the route. Now that it's proven its success, this will allow us to develop the means to apply passenger fares, which does help in terms of just making it a sustainable option, both in Sidlaw, but also with a view to rolling it out with how it's gone. We feel that there's a really good opportunity here for Angus to lead the way in terms of DRT, and without compromising the service. Hopefully local members have received positive benefits from those that have used it in terms of, as the name suggests, being more responsive. And yeah, credit to everybody involved. We're joined by Ian Leith. His team has worked tremendously hard to make that Sidlaw DRT service work.
Thank you. I'll bring in Councillor Bell, then Councillor Whiteside.
Thanks, Convener. Just to pick up on the charges issue, Graham, will national entitlement cards be applied? Thanks.
I will refer to the subject expert on this, Mr Ian Leith, if he would like to come in.
Thank you, Mr Daly, and just through yourself, Chair. Councillor Bell, yes, absolutely. Although the service delivery is demand responsive, effectively operates under the same conditions as a local bus service, the ticket machine would appear to be the same to passengers, and whether it's under 22, over 6 days, or any other type of free travel entitlement that you would expect to receive on a local bus service will also be catered for on these services.
Thank you very much. Councillor Whiteside.
Thanks, Convener. It was just to respond to Mr Daly, actually, to say that as local members we have received really positive feedback. The service has been really well received, and there's been actually nothing but positive feedback at the local community councils.
Thank you very much. Councillor Duff.
Just a question about the vehicle you're purchasing. Is this in any way a vehicle that could be used for conveying people in wheelchairs, etc.? So is it disabled capable? I suppose I'm asked the question I'm asking.
Again, Chair, this is one for Mr Ian Leith.
Thanks, Mr Daly, and just through yourself, Chair. Councillor Duff, yes, all the vehicles that we procure for these services are fully accessible. So if there's a passenger with a specific need, whether it's a wheelchair or a walker, the vehicle will have the correct provision to be able to support that.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll We'll move to comments. Any comments? Councillor MacDonald.
Thank you, Chair. When I was the convener of the Communities Committee when we first introduced DRT, and I remember the discussions around the challenges of that, and all I would like to say is Ian and his team have done a phenomenal job in delivering for SIDLAW. It's quite exciting to think that we've delivered this service successfully from effectively nothing, and this paper today builds on the good work that those guys have done in that team. And I'm just, every time that we get a paper and an opportunity like this, when the team's worked really, really well, I think it's important that we acknowledge that.
Thank you, Councillor MacDonald. Councillor Brays.
Yes, well, exactly what Councillor MacDonald has just said is what I wanted to say. I think Ian Leith and his small team have done remarkably well in this, and the results so far from SIDLAW seem to suggest that there's a lot more potential yet for DRT right across Angus, probably in years to come.
Thank you, Councillor Brays. With that, we will move to the recommendation. There is only one, and the recommendation is to agree to accept the expected funding offer of £70,000. Do we agree? That moves us on to item 16. Regulation of Investigatory Powers, Scotland Act 2000 Annual Report, Submit Report number 26525, and we have Alison Watson talking to it.
Thank you, Convener. This report presents to committee information about a review undertaken on our policy and guidelines on the use of covert surveillance and covert human intelligence sources, and also our surveillance through social media policy. As is required by the Investigatory Powers Commissioner, we have undertaken an annual review of these policies, and we have concluded that no changes are required at present. Committee is asked to note that this review has been undertaken and these are presented to committee as per that guidance I referred to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions on this report? Any comments? We'll move to the recommendations. There are two, and they are to note and to note. Do we agree? Agree. Thank you. Takes us to item 17, Common Good Register, Kirriemuir, Monifeith and Carnoustie. Report number 26625 by the Acting Director of Legal Governance and Change, and it's Alison Watson again.
Thank you, Convener. This report provides an update on progress with the Common Good Register for Angus. It seeks approval for the list for Monifeith and the Barony of Kirriemuir to be adopted, and it also seeks approval for the Council to consult on a draft register for Carnoustie. That would be noting that there has been no common good land or buildings found in Carnoustie, but that we do go out to consult with that list in order to receive any feedback. My colleague Marie Callender is also present here today to take any questions on the detail. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I open up to members? Do members have any questions? Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Convener. Yeah, I just would like to tease out the mention of the Den House in Kirriemuir, please, because some of us will remember for many years that its status was very uncertain, and there's currently a 10-year process in play. So is it or is it not technically common good at this stage, please? Thanks.
Councillor Bell, I'm just checking the list.
Okay, thanks.
For those not in the room, the check's just been done to answer that question.
I think it has been included there, Councillor Bell, but I can come back and confirm that with you.
Thank you. That would be great, just so I know what I'm talking about.
Thank you for that. Are there any other questions? Councillor Doran.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to ask a question around the Moneyfeith Common Good. So we've got some areas of land that are being moved into a common good fund, but there isn't a common good fund for Moneyfeith. So I just wanted to ask a question there about maintenance of those spaces in the interim and what the kind of plan is from this point. Thank you.
I'm going to leave Ian Lorimer to come and answer that one.
Thank you, Convener. Thanks, Councillor Dorn. As you say, we haven't hitherto in the life of Angus Council had a common good fund in Moneyfeith. There are, I think it's three assets now identified, two strips of land and a war memorial. The report does flag, if I can find the right paragraph, in relation to that. There is those assets. There's no income associated with those assets, so that is a bit of an issue in terms of should maintenance issues become available. So what we've said in the report is that should that eventuality happen, we would need to come forward and with proposals about how that would be dealt with. I guess the most realistic option in relation to that would have to be that council funds would be used in the absence of anything else. Let's say it was a matter of safety or something like that. We would need to look at options. It's not ideal. That's not where we would want to be. But in the absence of any other funds, that would be the most likely outcome.
Councillor Whiteside.
Can I just follow up on that? And it might be a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but you might want to speak to our close neighbours at Dundee, because if you listen to elderly community members in Moneyfeith, they will tell you there was a common good fund that was consumed by Tayside region and never to be seen again.
I will bear that in mind, Councillor Whiteside.
Thank you for that. Are there any other questions? No. Any comments? Councillor MacDonald.
Thank you, Chair. On page 187, statutory consultation Carnoustie, I look forward to viewing the published draft list with no land or buildings listed on it that's going to be up for 12 weeks. And as I'll be consulted my views on that list, I'm not going to preempt that I probably won't have any views. So maybe we could just take that as read just now. But it's good to see this work being done and really appreciate all the work for the other boroughs that are actually directly impacted by it.
Thank you, Councillor MacDonald. Any other comments? Okay, we'll move to the recommendations. What I think we'll do is take them in their areas. So if we start with Kirriemuir, there are 3 recommendations to note, agree and note. Do we agree? Agree. Move to Moneyfeith. There are 2, and that is to note and agree to adopt. Do we agree? And in Carnoustie, we have 3 to note, approve and note. Do we agree? Thank you. Moving now to item 18, potentially violent persons policy, report number 267 of 25 by the Director of HROD, Digital Enablement, IT and Business Support. Quite a mouthful there. And we have Sharon Faulkner to talk to this report. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Convener, and good afternoon, elected members. This report proposes a new potentially violent persons policy to standardise and improve the management of risk markers across all services, enhancing employee safety during lone working. The policy aims to unify information sharing and comply with data protection standards. A unified marker system is being developed within our DASH system for all lone workers, ensuring compliance with the Information Commissioner's Office Data Protection Guidelines, which you will see have been attached as an appendix. You'll note that the policy applies to employees, contractors and elected members. My colleague Louise Troop from our Health and Safety team, who developed the policy, is also online to take any questions. Thanks, Convener.
Thank you. I'll now open up to questions. Do members have any questions? Councillor Scott.
Thank you, Convener. Some of our customers and service users have complex needs and care plans, and I suppose I just want assurance on how that would be recognised, because there would be potential for them to obviously maybe be a bit more aggressive if they were feeling anxious or whatever, and just maybe a bit of insurance on being trauma informed around that. Thank you.
Yes, thanks for that question, Councillor Scott. Yeah, absolutely. Any marker will be raised by a professional, so it might be a social worker who has been dealing with that individual. They'll obviously, be working in terms of trauma-informed practice, and they will, before they put the marker on, they will also be in consultation with their manager within their service, just to ensure that it's the right thing to be doing. Because obviously we do have a lot of vulnerable people that we're dealing with, and we need to take cognizance of that.
Thank you. I'll move now to Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Convener, and thank you. And nice to see you, Louise. I'm just wondering, I guess, around data management and GDPR in terms of particularly third parties, and what the protocol is around that. You touched on contractors, Sharon, but might third parties include other agencies, and if so, who might that be? And again, it's in terms of protecting people's personal information. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Bell. Louise has done quite a bit of work on this particular area, so I'll ask Louise to come in on that one.
Thank you. Yeah, we have had several meetings with colleagues within legal. We are ensuring that we are complying with the ICO guidance, obviously the Information Commissioner's guidance, and we'll ensure that we follow the data protection. We're going to have markers on for only so long. They'll be reviewed at different periods. Thank you.
Are there any further questions on this report? Any comments? No comments. We'll move then to the recommendations. There are two, and they are to approve and delegate. Do we agree? Agree. Thank you. Moving to item 19. Preventing Sexual Harassment, submit report 268 of 25 by, again, the Director of all of those things. And we have, is it Sharon again?
Yes.
Yep, okay, Sharon.
Thank you, Convener. Apologies. This report details the progress, proposals and strategic implementation of our updated bullying and harassment policy, focusing on the prevention of sexual harassment. The amendments align with recent legislative changes and commitment to cultivating a safe, inclusive and respectful workplace. The policy is interwoven with ongoing initiatives, notably the Equally Safe at Work Developer Accreditation, which we have. And it sets a foundation for proactive, comprehensive measures to prevent harassment and foster a culture of zero tolerance. To comply with the 2023 Act and reinforce a culture of safety, we have devised an action plan and a risk assessment framework. And the following actions are proposed. So we'll be updating the policy, the bullying and harassment policy, and relaunching that. There will be mandatory e-learning with a new sexual harassment e-learning module in our training programme. A risk assessment framework has been developed. There will be extensive communication and engagement. We will be seeking to recruit voluntary harassment contact officers throughout the workforce, and there will be monitoring and ongoing review of the policies that are in place. The overarching aim is to ensure that all employees have trust and confidence in the Council's procedures and feel happy bringing forward any complaints or issues that they might have. Thank you, Convener. My colleague Pauline Mackay is also on. She developed this policy and she is also available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I open to members? Do you have any questions? First we've got Councillor Bell.
Thank you again, Convener. I wondered why there weren't any contacts on the policy, and I guess you've just touched on it, Sharon, that you need to recruit those. But I also wondered around the inclusion of elected members in that policy, around whether they're a victim of harassment or whether they're the perpetrator, and what people need to do in that particular circumstance. Obviously that links to the Council's Code of Conduct, but I felt that was a bit of a gap, and I wondered if that could be addressed, please. Thank you.
So in terms of the elected members, I guess you're asking, Councillor Bell, whether or not we should include elected members within that policy. Most of our policies are employee policies only. The potentially violent persons one was somewhat different because that's around lone working, which is something that's being looked at for by the Improvement Service for elected members at national level. Therefore, most of our policies are directed at employees only, but it's something I can certainly take off the table and have a discussion with you, Councillor Bell, around that. I don't know, Pauline, if you wanted to say any more about that.
Probably just to say that alongside the policy document, there is a procedure document that's also been developed, and that's got a lot of the practical applications, how to make complaints. And I think you mentioned, Councillor Bell, about the contact officers. So that type of information, along with making a complaint, is all within a procedure document, all the practical steps.
Thanks. I would like to take up the opportunity to discuss this off the table. Thanks.
Yeah, happy to do that, Councillor Bell. I'll be in touch.
Thank you. Are there any other questions on this report? Any comments? We'll move then to recommendations. There are 3 recommendations. They are 1 to note, 2 to approve, and 3 to support a communication of the revised policy. Do we agree? Moves us on to item 20, approval of the revised counter fraud and corruption strategy and fraud response plan, submit report 250 of 25 by the Service Leader of Internal Audit. I think Catherine is talking to this one, the Chief Executive.
Thank you very much, Convener. I'm pleased to introduce this report on behalf of the Service Leader for Internal Audit. The report presents the revised counter fraud and corruption strategy and the revised fraud response plan, both of which have been reviewed by members of the Scrutiny and Audit Committee. The work of the counter fraud team mitigates fraud risk and helps to improve controls to counter the Council's fraud risk. The strategy and response plan are part of our arrangements to prevent fraud. As such, they help mitigate against fraud risk and the risk of prosecution under the Economic Crime and Corporate Transparency Act 2023, which came into effect on the 1st of this month, bringing with it, of course, the potential for organisations to be prosecuted for failing to prevent fraud in particular circumstances. I note that Ewan Mitchell is in the meeting on the call, and should any members have any questions on the detail of the report, he'd be happy to respond. Thank you.
Thank you. Open up to member questions. Do we have any questions? No questions. Any comments? No comments. We will move to the recommendations, of which there are 2, and those are to note and approve. Do we agree? We will now be going into private session, as we've agreed earlier, the reports 21 to 32.
Can you stop the live stream, please?